Okay, okay.
All right, pictures up.
Pictures up.
Roll sound. Adjust our lockups. We're looking toward the street now.
Practicing sitting on chairs last night?
Copy.
So that
Camera over there looking this way, and it's pretty much a jump cut.
Quiet all around, please. And roll sound.
Abel's Field addressed very universal themes of struggles, of loss, of love, of mentorship in a three-dimensional way. It didn't sugarcoat anything that the characters are faced with, but it also doesn't shy away from the humor that is in tragedy, the simple moments that you can share with a person that make life nice.
When I began developing Abel's Field 5 years ago with the screenwriter Aaron Flasher, I had come to him with the idea that we can take the root theme of any biblical narrative and present it in a way that feels fresh and relevant to a modern audience.
You like being a janitor?
It's good work.
Yeah, it is. I gotta say, you've done a good job with the field. And you put up with McCardle.
Seth's been good. Just needed to be given a chance.
No, that kid's had every chance in the world.
Well, I got this script 3 years ago. I met with Gordy and Torth 3 years ago in a little cafe in Santa Monica. And I can't, you know, it'd be interesting. You'd have to ask them how they found me. I don't know why they searched me out for this role, but they'd sent me the script already, and I read it, so we met, and I said, I'm on board. I like it. I really loved, I just loved the storyline. I love the storyline of the teenager in the movie as well, Seth. I just thought, I go, you know, these are two people that never would have met under any other circumstances. They had nothing in common, yet they had everything in common. And they basically become mentors to each other. But both are so removed from society that you peel all these layers away before you finally get to the nakedness of what their problems were. And they surprisingly help each other.
And Seth is, he's 17, he's a senior in high school, and he's been left with the responsibility of taking care of his two little sisters, Mary and Carrie. And that's his main priority in life. And he's different from most teenagers because he has to have this weight of this responsibility that most kids don't have to deal with.
Hi.
You're awake.
I don't think I can move though.
Katie and Seth come from two polar opposites. Katie is, the popular girl, Seth is the outcast, but Katie sees him as a window to where she wants to be. He might feel the pressure, but he doesn't give in to that pressure to fit in, and she loves that about him. And from the first time they meet, she just kind of sees something in him that's different, and in a world of all these high school boys that all act the same and treat people the same, she sees that he treats her like a gentleman. He's a gentleman in a world of boys.
I know what you're thinking. I always open cars this way.
That's probably a good way to meet girls.
Both the story and the characters were enthralling from start to finish. And I thought the arc was great. To me, it was a very well-written script. There was nothing hokey about it. There was nothing boring about it. And in the end, I found it very moving. I mean, it hit me in a way that I had not expected.
I should have even been there. Would you say something?
I think when people are faced with adversity, that's when the true character comes out. I think when life is easy, making the right choice is also kind of easy. And not always, of course, but when life is hard, making that right choice is just compounded in difficulty, because it's easy to back away, to take the gentle road, kind of. It's hard to really face up to, what do I need to change about myself? What do I need to change about my world to get through and come out on the other side?
It's a very heavy story. It's a very heavy incident that happened in Abel's life. You know, he basically punishes himself. His way of preparing himself to pray is to lift weights to sheer exhaustion. It's his way of going in front of God in really a fully naked way. I'm beaten, Lord, I'm here in front of you, and I have nothing to hide. And that's why I think he works out the way he works out, is just to go through that routine that he's going through. And it's going to be, it's not all shiny. It's a heavy drama.
This is a raid. Everybody out. We'll leave the beer.
Alright, so let's do green under this and then gray under that one.
What you got there?
It's nothing.
Oh, come on now.
It's private. No offense, Dick.
And then he says, "Oh,
Could you come on?" Because he has all.
well, no, I think that beat will last until he says "oh," because I mean, natural pop instinct takes over. If someone does it, yeah, that's right.
I told Gordy today, I said I can't wait to do a comedy, because I've really gotten into this character, and it's a heavy character to play. He's a man of few words. I've never been involved in a script that I've had such few words, but even reading the script over and over again, trying to find places to put, well, we should add, it didn't make sense for this guy. He wouldn't. He does measure everything. He watches. So it was a heavy ride for me. It was fun. It was fun to sort of try these shoes on.
So in searching for locations around Texas, we had scouted many small towns, and none of them quite had that feel. A lot of them had the elements that made Sinai what it was. So we could probably shoot in one town and then move to another to get this aspect, then move to another to get this aspect. But we really wanted to find that one town that embodied Sinai.
We had been looking for weeks with the governor's office trying to find a location, couldn't find anything, and on Google Earth, Gordy finds this little town of Thrall, which is about an hour outside of Austin, and he saw the football field and the downtown layout and said, "Tor, you know, I'm going to drive out to this town of Thrall. I think there's something there."
And I pull into Thrall, and I start getting goosebumps. And I drive to their high school, and I drive over to their football field. I get out of the car, and I walk onto this perfect grass field, and I call up Tor, the producer, and I say, "Tor, I'm standing in Sinai. I'm standing on their football field."
But the truth is, I know that I gave my all in the field, and I know you guys will give your all in the field today. But my biggest trouble with Hutchinson was that they were the Hutchinson Tigers. And so I've got to say this, and I never thought I'd say this, but I'm going to say it right now. Go Tigers!
The people of Thrall are so generous and kind and understanding. You know, you ask, you try to describe something which they have no background. They've never had a film come to their town before, but you know, you can talk openly with them and explain the situation. We've had people ask, for instance, is there going to be a lot of noise? There's going to be a lot of light, you know, at night. You know, what will some of the inconveniences be? And there will be some. And you know, we tell them up front what they are, but we say, you know, we'll give you a warning, we'll work with you, and they're like, great, that's all we want to know. We just want to know what's going on, and you know, just help us work with it. And so they've been amazing.
Is there something on in there, or just the AC, or just pointing toward the door this time, or something?
Are you into that reflection?
Reflection?
In the window, right by his head there?
Yeah, that's okay.
That's what prompts you into, okay, now I need to try other tactics.
Right?
Cutting!
Yeah.
Excuse me, you're coming in our shot. We're trying to get extra exposure.
So we've already prepped the skin.
They keep shaving me, man.
If you look at Abel, Mr. Sorbo's tattoos, they're full arm tattoos on both sides. He's got another one that says Redemption right on the front, and he's got a huge back piece. They're pretty expensive, so we didn't want to mess up. It was our first opportunity to do tattoos this big, and surprisingly they came out really well, and it wasn't that tricky.
That's jealousy.
And Sleepy's on this side, Dopey's on my butt.
I think also with Seth, he has two different fight sequences that happen in the film.
Yeah, you get the impact, the hit, the black eye.
Right.
Then the second day it starts healing, or puffs up. Then the third day it starts healing. Within the time frame that you're given, you have to heal this wound before the end of the movie, if that's what they want. So they're not shooting in sequence, and they rarely do. You have to have a really bad black eye, and then 2 scenes later, it's almost healed. Then they go back to where his black eye is 2 days old. So it's tricky to get it all right. So at the very end, and she's the master of that. She keeps all the continuity. I just follow her lead on that stuff. So she is in charge of that, without a doubt.
You do a great job.
Oh, hang on. Let me get you there. There you go. Little hair and makeup.
And then what I want you to do is know I have it, and then you kind of scoot them this way. So you basically...
Could the spot could come in a little more?
Today's going great. We are shooting the auditorium scene. As you can see behind me, we've got tons of pilgrims and Indians, and the chaos that ensues from the play. So I think our department has just done a fantastic job, and yeah, we're all just really, really excited.
Tor has lived Abelsfield for the last 5 years, and you can see it on his face when he talks about it. He's a very passionate man. And I think the crew and the cast see that in him, that even though he has the role of the producer, that, you know, their job is to say no to requests because of budget, because of scheduling, because of all these things, he still is encouraging the project with whatever he can do. So while the producer's job is usually to say no, Tor wants to say yes, and if he has to say no to something, he finds a way that he can say yes in another way.
We just kept plugging and plugging and plugging away. We're laughing now that we're down the last day and a half of shooting after 3 years of trying to get this thing done, and it's been a lot of fun. I mean, Tor's very energetic. You know, and Gordy is boy, man, because I always debate on the script. I always find holes, or I find different things. And every time I come to him about, I want to do something else, man, he's like, well, I think it's this and that and other thing. And, you know, God bless him, he comes up with good reasons of why not to change something. Because I've worked with a lot of people that just, they go, well, that's the way it's written. I go, yeah, but why is it written that way? I want an answer. I don't want somebody just to say, well, that's the way it is, because there's always a reason. And as an actor, I want to understand to make sure that I'm, you know, portraying the character honestly.
come up here on our birthday.
One scene in particular that really hit close to home was the scene in the cemetery when Seth is standing over his mother's grave, and he's talking to Abel, but he's really talking to himself, and he's remembering the day he went out to the cemetery with his mother while she was still alive, and it was on a good day. And anyone who's been with a family member or a friend who has a terminal disease, days are considered good days or bad days. And this scene in particular, he's standing over this grave site, and he sees, or he recalls the conversation he had with his mom over picking the actual spot of where she wanted to be laid to rest. And that was still a good day because she was happy on that day. And for me, a similar type of scenario happened with my dad. Is on a good day, we went out to the place where he was going to be laid to rest, and he was having a good time. He was actually joking with us, I'm going to be there. So it was very hard on our family, it was very hard on me, but my love for my father, I supported him in this good day. And then reflecting on that, it's something that until you've been there, it's really hard to explain, but it's a bittersweet memory. And I think the scene where Samuel, who plays our Seth character, where he actually is standing over the gravesite, I think he hit it spot on.
You know, at this point we've hired, our crew is 30% bigger than it was 2 days ago, and we have, we've got more walkies and vehicles and everything, so we're just making sure we have all the equipment and people in place to handle anything that can come up.
Where are they changing?
Because they're different nights.
Where?
Oh, where? I don't know. That means between two teams, I'm giving you 3 and 4. Like, how many?
10 and 10.
Everybody gets a night 14 change, and then they just have 2 changes. So I've got like a clean look, a clean look and a painted look.
Yeah, that's 4. It's gonna be great.
No, yeah, I just have to figure it out really quickly, and then it'll be fine.
Friday night that we've been looking forward to for a while. This is the actual homecoming game of Rawl, Texas. They're playing Holland, and we are basically having 2 cameras go around and shoot as much game and crowd footage as possible, and then we're going to recreate those games tomorrow night, and then control those plays so we can get our camera on the field. But tonight it's kind of a free-for-all, grab what we can, and yeah, looking forward to it.
Scruggs, the quarterback keeper, gets into Hornet territory down about the 44-yard line. Scruggs, the quarterback keeper, with nowhere to go.
Second down.
Crowd rolls to his left and is finally run out of bounds by number 79, Lino Santos. Quarterback keeper Colin Scruggs, number 10.
I think my first directorial experience on a feature film has been probably one of the best things. It's probably been one of the best experiences and gone in such a way that I could never have imagined.
I think one thing that made this film unique was that the entire crew was so enthusiastic from the get-go. I think just the crew that they put together, all of the department heads just, exhibited an extraordinary amount of enthusiasm and energy. And I think that's, it can be attributed to the script and to Gordy and Tor. I really feel like they inspired the crew and continue to throughout the filming process.
Again, certainly Tor and I very conscious of the heat. We've made every effort to have as much in the way of air conditioning and swamp coolers or whatever else, and the best food possible, because trust me, you know, feeding your crew goes a long way. We know we didn't skimp on that. We actually, the biggest part of our budget is gone towards our crew and taking care of them. Bottom line.
And ultimately, this is a story about redemption, about having a second chance in your life, and hopefully that gives people the the realization that we all get down. It doesn't matter how successful we are, or how unsuccessful we are. Everybody has up and down periods in their life, and you have to find a way to get through it. And it really comes down to just pushing and pushing and pushing yourself, and believing that it'll happen. And that's really what the movie's about. It's about getting a second chance.
We had so much good fortune while making Abel's Field in finding Thrall, in having trains pass us just at the right time, in having the community come out just at the right moment, in luckily finding this town just before school started so we could shoot around their school schedule. I don't know if it's a coincidence. I'd like to think maybe my dad was looking down on us, helping us out, but it really, the film just came together. And every time that we felt this day is going to be tough if X, Y, and Z happen, because those would just derail us, X, Y, and Z never happened. And in a movie, making a movie, X, Y, and Z always happens. Like, you always come up with the obstacles. And while we did come up with many obstacles, they were ones that turned out to actually help our movie out more than anything.
You know, I think I'm gonna miss the people of Thrall the most. They were just all so friendly, and it was kind of nice to see the same faces every day welcoming us with big smiles. So yeah, definitely gonna miss the people of Thrall.
It's very organic and comfortable that way. In a normal movie, you're either in some artificial environment, like in some studio, like in some warehouse, right? And it's all green screen and just fake stuff. But this is, we're in the real deal. The script, the story is set in a town like this, and we're living it. We're part of that community. We're trying our best to be part of that community and include them in everything we're doing. We're casting them if possible, putting them, as extras wherever we can, and making them partners in this project. And it's a wonderful feeling. It's such a great way to work,
Coming to Thrall and finding this community and finding cast and crew that join in on the passion of making this movie. I mean, I owe this incredible experience of directing a film to them.
It's a story that I'm really proud of, deep down, and I hope other people feel the same way.